have a stick, Jim. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tim Hortons and another episode of See It or Skip It with
Jim.
Rob. We just got out of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The gang's all together again, out to save the life of one of their member who ends up in a coma.
Oh, no. He was shooting something else.
Yeah, that's basically the gist of the film. Jim, why don't you tell us who was in it? And
Sure. Well, first of all, it was written and directed by James Gunn, as many of you know. Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, Pom Klementieff, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, Sean Gunn. I did not realize until you told me that they were related. And the big bad this time.
Who does he play?
The guy with the whistle.
Oh.
The fin head.
the new guy with the whistle.
Yeah, the new guy. I'll look that up later. But I should mention that the big bad is Chukwudi Iwuji, an English-Nigerian actor. And also Will Poulter, Elizabeth Debicki, all kinds of people.
Back
all kinds
from
of people.
As the Sovereign.
Yeah, former Academy Award nominee Maria Bakalova is a dog, and Sylvester Stallone, amongst others. It was a good cast.
Yeah.
Linda Cardinelli is in it as well too.
Has a great voiceover role.
Yeah.
Jim, let me ask you this: Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yes.
See it or skip it, and why?
Absolutely see it. I was a little bit nervous. I was worried they'd mishandle it. But for me, it has this nice tension throughout, emotional, and, they give the characters a lot to do. Often the characters pivot, a little bit. There's a couple interesting new additions. I've heard that it's overstuffed. I didn't think so, though.
I'm going to agree with you, Jim. Not as strongly. I do think it's a see it, and a see it in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yes.
a nice big movie. See it in the theater. Maybe not D-Box. I wasn't exactly.
Can we talk about the chairs? Because we went to this D-Box chairs, and everything would rattle. And I think we were doing this too.
A little bit of that.
Did a little bit of that. So it was like a shaky roller coaster, but everything had a vibration. So at one point, Karen
If
Gillan,
a prop's moving around,
yeah.
the gizmo is moving us around.
Nebula is changing into an outfit at one point as they're infiltrating a place. And she sort of throws her sweater or whatever she's wearing over a chair, and you hear boom. Like that. It's just like, really? Is that the vibration that clothing gives off? And even there's a character unlocking locks with a card. Zoom, zoom,
As everyone experiences when passing a swipe card through a door lock.
Here's a question for you. Would you like 3D glasses or the crazy chair?
I'm saying neither.
Oh, yeah?
Honestly,
Okay.
I was not a fan. It wasn't terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've done D-Box, I can say I've done that and I don't need to do it again.
Yeah.
And as far as 3D goes, especially as we were right at the back of the theater, you feel it's even darker. Everything's a little further away. It's a little darker. I think I'll see this movie again.
Oh, yeah?
But I want to see it in 2D.
Yeah.
I want to be a little closer to the screen, a little more immersed. My see it, I do think it was a little overstuffed. An opening scene that could have gone. We could have started the movie a few minutes later, and there's a lot of, maybe not side quests, but there's a lot of running around. Everyone
Do this to
has
get
a
that.
lot to do.
But then you have to do this first. So there's that sort of video game plotting almost, a little bit.
Yeah. That said, there's still enough in here, Jim, that gets me right here, that you still see that James Gunn ability to deliver that emotional hit. All the emotional hits do land in the end. And there is actually, we get a backstory that kind of runs in and out of the main plot, the now plot, a backstory to one of the major characters that almost steals the film. It is so good.
Could have
It
been
is
its
so
own film.
powerful. It really could have. And for that alone, you got to give props. The other thing you and I talked about when we were in the car driving over And I think it bears repeating. You'd mentioned how actually dark Guardians of the Galaxy is. You think of what was maybe on the screenplay, like in the screenplay on the page, and go, whoa, that's
Yeah.
You see Gunn's experience with horror. He is the guy who wrote the reboot of Dawn of the Dead with Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
You see that in here, but he is such a master of tone, of aesthetic, that you never feel what you think you should feel. And at the same time, there's a couple of moments where there's a joke in it. The joke is used to take out the sting.
Mm-hmm.
And it works thematically, because I do think there is some of those classic James Gunn themes about chosen family, but also a deep one about acceptance, and that it can be a deeper level. Is it my favorite of all three? No, but it's only weak in comparison to the other two, and who knows, maybe if I see it in 2D, I'll go, you know what, actually.
Yeah. And I haven't seen the other two in a while, too, so I have to watch those to compare them. Throughout the series, the darkness, like the big bads, and they're all one left, and it's the unadorned one. It's the plain cake Timbit. But
I'm okay with that. Anyway,
sorry. It's like you're a Guardians of the Galaxy villain. But just the sort of we had dealt with Ego the last time. It was a terrifying character. If you can if you look beyond the Kurt Russell kind of friendly beard and kind of good old boy image, this one's just as dark. You have
darker.
A little, yeah. You have unapologetic killings. Beware if you're sensitive at all about animal cruelty, because this is throughout. But wow.
Yeah.
And the irony is that it's portrayed as being sort of a retro, fun back, good time.
Is that irony, or is he just so good at managing the aesthetic that it's getting you through what is otherwise a horror and getting you to an emotional end that I think serves what the director's trying to do. Like it serves us all. We get to an emotional end that is so much harder to do in a horror film.
Yeah.
Horror films, you never, I feel good and I feel connected. Horror films are about survival and punishment. Mm-hmm. And whereas in a Guardians of the Galaxy film, I'd say there's redemption. There can be turns in characters. And I think that's because of the aesthetic Gunn is using in this film.
Yeah, yeah.
And in all the Guardians of the Galaxy.
And I think, too, music plays a huge role in that, too. Whenever I feel that, oh, my God, it's going to be scary, they play some radio-friendly hit from the 70s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm chill. It doesn't take anything out of the watching of the movie, but it just sort of is reminding you what kind of movie it is.
Yeah.
Should mention, too, visually, very striking. Imagery from a lot of different kind of horror movies and things like that, and different costume design, production design.
Yeah. There's some elements where I'm thinking of Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Other horror masters. Yeah. That said, I think we got to cut it off here.
Sure.
Because Sunday, I'm looking forward to getting into this. It's the first superhero movie we've really taken a deep dive in a long while.
Yeah.
And I think this one is worthy of it, although we'll probably talk about all three. Mm-hmm. So yeah, folks, join us Sunday in the spoiler zone when we overanalyze Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Within an inch of its life.